You know, we spend so much time, energy, and money perfecting our visual image. The clothes we wear, our hairstyle, our body language. But what if the most powerful part of how people perceive you isn't what they see, but what they hear?
Your visual image. That creates initial assumptions. Someone might look at how you're dressed and assume you're professional. But your vocal image, that's what creates deep-seated beliefs. It's your voice that makes them truly believe you're credible, that you're trustworthy, that you know what you're talking about.
So the very first step, the big mindset shift, is this. You have to stop thinking of your voice as just a thing that makes sounds. Your voice is an instrument, a complex, powerful instrument. And once you see it that way, you can actually learn how to play it.
All right, so if your voice is an instrument, how do you play it? Well, you need to understand its core components. We're going to break down the 5 vocal foundations. Think of this as your personal toolkit for gaining total control over how you sound.
First up is your rate of speech, or basically your pacing. Now the problem isn't being a fast talker or a slow talker. The real killer for engagement is being a monotonous talker. If you speak at the same speed the entire time, no matter what that speed is, you're going to put your audience to sleep. So here's the rule, and it is super simple but so effective. When you get to a really important point, you need to slow down. It's like taking a verbal highlighter to your words. It forces people to listen. Then, for the less critical details, you can speed up a bit. That contrast is what keeps people hooked.
Okay, next up, volume. Think of this as the power supply, the actual lifeblood of your voice. This isn't about yelling, it's about using your volume to inject energy into what you're saying. Because without it, all the other tools in our toolkit, they just fall flat.
When you speak with a strong, intentional volume, let's say a 6 or 7 on a scale of 10, you just automatically sound more confident. You sound more authoritative. It literally shows that you believe in what you're saying because you're physically moving people with that energy.
Our third foundation is pitch and melody. These are all the different musical notes that your instrument, your voice, can hit. And we've all been there, right? Listening to someone who speaks in a total monotone. They could be telling you they won the lottery, but because there's no melody, it just sounds incredibly boring.
So how do you find more of those notes? Well, here's a simple exercise you can do for just 5 minutes a day. It's called the siren technique. You literally just make a siren sound, sliding your voice from the lowest note you can hit all the way up to your highest, and then back down again. It's a great way to explore the full range of your instrument. All right, foundation number 4 is tonality. And honestly, this is where the real magic happens. Tonality is the emotion that lives underneath your words. It's the difference between an audience just understanding what you said and actually feeling what you said.
So how do you get that emotion in there? Well, here's the secret. Your face is the remote control for your voice. They are directly, physically linked. You just can't have an emotional voice if you have a blank face. It's impossible.
And the connection is really this simple. Think about when people get nervous. What happens? Their face freezes up. And the result? Their voice becomes flat and monotone. But if you move your face, if you let your expressions match what you're saying, your voice has no choice but to follow. It will become dynamic and full of emotion.
And that brings us to our 5th and final foundation, the pause, the intentional use of silence. Now, I know this is the tool that most people are afraid of, but trust me, it is by far the most powerful one you have.
So why do we pause? The main reason is to give your listener the time to do one absolutely critical thing: process. When you create that space with silence, you're giving your ideas a chance to actually land and sink in. And the benefits are huge. Pausing makes your message clearer. It almost completely eliminates all those filler words like and ah because you're replacing them with silence. And maybe most importantly, it makes you sound so much more credible and authoritative.
Okay, so you've got the 5 foundations, but knowing the theory is one thing, right? How do you actually put this stuff into practice? How do you get better? Well, there is a simple, incredibly powerful method to build the self-awareness you need to really master this.
It's called the record and review method, and you break it down into 3 parts. First, you do an auditory audit. That means you record yourself and then listen back with the screen off, focusing only on how you sound. Second, a visual audit. You watch that same video, but on mute. Just watch your body language and your face. And finally, a content audit. Get the video transcribed and highlight every single filler word. By breaking it down like this, you get a super clear picture of what's really going on.
There is one massive roadblock that stops almost everybody from doing that exercise. It's the fact that most of us, we hate the sound of our own voice on a recording. So we need to tackle that right now.
So why is that? Why do we have that universal cringe when we hear ourselves played back? Is there something wrong with our voices? The answer is absolutely not, and it all just comes down to a little bit of physics.
Here's what's happening. When you speak, you hear your own voice mostly through bone conduction. The vibrations travel through your skull to your eardrum, which makes your voice sound deeper and richer inside your own head.
But a recording captures your voice through air conduction, the way it travels through the air. That's how everybody else hears you. So the voice you hear on a recording isn't worse, it's just unfamiliar.
And that brings us to the final takeaway. That voice on the recording, that is you. That is your unique instrument. It's not something to run away from. It's something to embrace, to get to know, and to master. The goal isn't to sound like somebody else. The goal is to become the absolute best, most authentic player of your own one-of-a-kind instrument.